Hello, dear team, dear Angelas. Welcome to this session of Launch Your Dream, UniSat educational program for girls. My name is Dina, and today I am delighted to have a discussion about tech, STEM, and careers with Angelas CORTESI. She is a prominent business strategist and transdisciplinary designer with more than 15 years experience in creating new products, services, and systems at the crossroads of business, technology, and design. UniSat is a joint educational program of UNICEF and Al-Farabi Kazakh National University. This year, with Dubai Care support, more than 2,000 girls from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan will receive knowledge from leading experts on aerospace engineering about 3D modeling, design of software control units, software and hardware development skills, communications, and the basics of Linux programming. During the course, the program participants will master the important stages of developing a space vehicle: engineering, design, programming, assembly, testing, and launch. The UniSat's goal is not only to develop the knowledge and competences of girls in nanosatellite development, but also to improve such skills as teamwork, public speaking, and time management, together with creativity. Within the framework of UniSat educational program, UNICEF Kazakhstan and KazNU are conducting a series of online webinars, Launch Your Dream, in a blended format, live sessions and recorded interviews, where the graduates of the 2020 NanoSat program will talk with famous women who have achieved an incredible results in various fields, including STEM and space. For more information, you can follow the link unisat.com. So, to start our webinar, I will introduce you, dear Angelas, to our girls who will interview you today. They are Akmaral, she is 11th grade student, and Mira, she is 10th grade student. And of course, me, Dina. I am not a student anymore, but still. So, dear Angelas, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Dina, for the introduction. I'm very, very happy, and for the invite. I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm passionate about everything that has to do with technology and space. So more than this is a space I appreciate a lot to be invited to. And thanks for calling me famous. I don't think I'm famous, at least just for my dog, I'm a famous person. But I'm very happy to share a little bit of what my journey has been so far to the girls. If you want, I can share my screen. I prepared some little slides just to guide a little bit the conversation.
Yes, so can we wait a little bit? Yeah, is
yes,
it the slide?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So whenever you tell me, I start.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, great. So it's the first time I'm being asked to come and talk about myself and my journey. So it's generally I'm talking about the things I know. So I was thinking, okay, how can I explain my journey? It's always so hard for me to explain. So I call it connecting the dots of my journey, and it's very much inspired of a quote I heard once from Steve Jobs on a famous speech he gave to graduates from Stanford University. And he was trying to explain his life, and he was saying that you cannot connect the dots of your life, of your experiences, looking forward. You can only connect them backwards. So today I had to make a little bit of a backward connection to be able to tell you a little bit about how was my journey so far, and everything I have been doing both on my education and my professional career and my personal life as well. So my education, probably you see my CV, it's a combination of business, technology, and design. I started studying business economics. Then I went and studied design. I was really very interested on how you bring new things to life. And I discovered design as one of those forces, those methodologies that really allow me to learn from different disciplines and create things new. And then I was awarded a scholarship to a program that actually is based on NASA, Bali in United States, where I learned a lot about exponential technology. So my education has been a blend of these 3 different fields. when you took a look at my CV, probably one of the most boring things is where I have worked. I have worked with very different type of organizations, all the way from governments in my country in Argentina to I have worked with the UN Technology Bank. I'm currently working with UNICEF. At the same time, I work with startups that today have become very big, like Mural. I was part of the initial team there. And I also work with big corporations such as Unilever and others. I have more or less had although I was born and raised in Argentina and studied everything in Argentina, until I was 30 more or less, I went and did an experience abroad. So for you to have an idea of, most of my background is from Argentina, but I was very able to then have a lot of experience both working and living outside. And this is a kind of a little bit a map of the world. I have just updated it because in the last year I have been working in Turkey and I'm currently calling you from Finland. So this is a broad of experience. So just to let you know, like I come from there, right on the south at the end, Buenos Aires, and look, you know, the different places around the world I was able to go. So just to say that no place is far away, no matter if you're born in the south, deep south of the world like I was. And this is just a mapping of the different experiences I have, but they are around digital technology or emergent technology. And I have worked all the way from more strategy design of how you think new projects from scratch and or improve a strategy to more implementation when you actually do. And it has been both an experience both in public, private, and public-private settings. So the colors show a little bit of that. However, in spite of my education and the places I work with and the places where I lived, what has been my drive around this different knowledge I've been, and experience I've been acquiring? And for me, the drive has always been to have a purpose. And the purpose was always to, for me, impact, it was to bring a positive impact to the world. So no matter what I did in different themes or countries or organizations, whether it was private or public, whether they were big or they were small, it was always about following a purpose, something where I thought it was doing a really positive impact. And if I have to summarize what my purpose has been and what I end up doing everywhere I go, is I think I have been building bridges for their borders. I've been trying to connect knowledges that generally don't talk to each other, teams or parts of the world that are disconnected, and all the way from, even in the same country, different expertise and talk to that, all the way from entrepreneurs talking to public sector, to government, and to corporations. So scientists talking to entrepreneurs. So all the way of how I'm building bridges in those imaginary borders that we have. So that has always been, and it has always been doing this with the tools of technology and innovation and design, right? And just to give you an example and how I really imagine bridges have to be connected. As I said, I was part of Singularity University. These are some of the pictures of where I was doing there. I was in NASA living for almost 3 months. And this is a tube you see here where I put a little bit of my saliva. So I have my DNA sequenced. So I have my DNA has been coded. I have access to that code. I was there on a self-driving car, the ones we see on the news that are being driven, this myself on the backpack of the car. And here I was basically putting this, I was seeing what a drone, I was flying a drone and I was seeing what the drone was seeing. So I was exposed to this very crazy technology and all the people that were building these technologies. But at the same time, I went and worked in Lebanon, right in the border with Syria. And I was working on I did some projects on a refugee camp with the refugees camp with the UNICEF. Here are some pictures with the children. And the reason I put all this example is because it's about building bridges, you know, among different situations and contexts that sometimes you think are very far away. But for me, there's a lot of, if we build bridges among them, there's a lot of purpose and positive impact we can bring to the world. How we actually can connect the best and most revolutionary technologies like the one your girls are working on with the hardest to reach children, you know, the most disadvantaged ones, how we can actually bring design as a method of building bridges, creating better conversations and spaces for exploration and co-designing. So that has been a little bit of an introduction of myself, but I'm open the floor. I know you have a lot of questions, so.
Yeah, Angela, so this is really fascinating experience. You look so young, but you have so big, like years of experience. So let's move to the question session.
I mean, I look young, but I'm 42. But I think I always say I'm look young because I always follow my purpose. And I think that's a very, it keeps you alive. It's like being a child all the time, right? Following what you really believe on and being true to yourself. So I always say it comes from the approach.
Just to look to the world with the open eyes.
Exactly, with fresh eyes, 5-year-old eyes, yes.
This is really cool. So let's move to the question session. And I would like to ask you about where would you suggest starting a career? In governmental companies, at startups, or maybe in big companies?
I think it all depends on what you're looking for. I think every experience is positive, and it, I mean, sometimes, and I have to be honest, sometimes the experience you can allow yourself to get, right? There's some countries like the one I was living in Argentina, there's not many job opportunities. So any job you get is a good job, right? And for me, nowhere where there you are, if you have the right attitude, you're always going to learn. So it's about, I wouldn't say starting corporate or startup or government. In all of them, you're going to learn and actually be open to moving from government to startup to corporations, because that's going to give you a different perspective of how to see the world and how to see and learn how different problems are solved. So I wouldn't, you know, government is a great place to start if you want to understand even more how public sector works and looking about policy and the very complex infrastructures that are behind governments and how hard it is to implement things when you have multiple stakeholders. On the other hand, on a startup, you're going to learn how to really work in a very agile way, right? The opposite, right? Very agile. It's a small team. There's no hierarchies. We're all working. It's almost like a game playing, and also very, very exciting and very the capacity of doing things and implementing and seeing whether you learn or not is too. But it's also that the reach you have is much smaller, right? So it's not so easy. And then corporations provide you a great training on very good practices, you know, and how actually you get things to scale. And also very much, I think it's very important when it comes to business, when I mean business, that doesn't mean either sustainable projects, I would call, whether they're for-profit or non-profit, but you have to be sustainable, you have to be accountable. There has to be a strategy and a planning for you to reach from point A to B. And business corporates are very good at that. So you can actually train yourself into those skills. So I think all the skills are necessary. So it doesn't matter where you start. It's about like you go with the right open mind to learn.
Yeah, thank you. What do you think about people that, for example, start their careers in governmental structure? They work there for 2-3 years, and then they move to, for example, startups. They again work there 2-3 years, and then they move to like national companies or some business, like big, large businesses. So, what do you think about this shipment?
Well, it looks very much like me, so I cannot say anything against it. But I can tell you about my personal experience. I think that when you are never an expert, you're always an outsider. It gives you that gymnastic, you know, that you end up creating a whole of cognitive tools. So I think it gives you a really great 360 perspective of how things work. So after that, whether you decide to have a corporate career or to go up to governments or to start your own venture, I think you're going to be a much better entrepreneur if you actually had some experience on corporate and government, especially if you're going to be working with challenges that are aligned, very close to government. For instance, you're going to be working in education. You need to understand how government works, because it's it's a public good, and it's led by government. So at the same time, I think it's great to have a multidisciplinary experience. So and I think we're living in a world that it was, when I was young, people are more, okay, you have to spend like 10 years, 15 years in the same place. I think that has changed. And now there's, the younger generations are much more
liberal,
you know, like more free. And they say, you know what, I'm experiencing. So there's no rush. I don't have to be 10 years on that place. It doesn't make me better or worse. And I can go and get another experience. So
yeah.
But
Thank
for all,
you.
like follow that you find interesting for yourself. The question is not where, but is why.
Yeah.
So
This
why?
is a good point.
Yes.
So you have a lot of, you know, like IT or design, like systems that you have created. Would you think yourself as analytical thinker or maybe systematic thinker?
I think I'm a systemic thinker, but you cannot be a systemic thinker without being an analytical thinker. But at the same time, I think it's about thinking and doing. It's a finding the right balance between deep thinking and deep doing, right? Deep thinking means analysis. I also tell my students, like, sometimes you have to read very boring things or do things that are not, you know, the most exciting ones, but you need to go through the process to actually then afterwards get a deep understanding and the deep thinking of how certain things work. And at the same time, you have to go and do things, because if you don't do things and you just remain in a very theoretical thinking place, you're totally disconnected from reality. Things never happen as you think they would happen. So for me, it's how you go and balance both things and develop those two skills in yourself and be comfortable in both areas. And also that's going to allow you to be able to talk to the two different type of experts, the people that are really great at research thinking, but sometimes when it comes to translating that into a product, into a solution, into something that everyone uses, is very hard. And then you have the very much doers that are great at problem solving and actionable, making things actionable. But sometimes you might find solutions in technology that are very shallow because they're not really based on true research, or they're not even knowing that there's this specific technology that's coming out and it's going to be revolutionary, and working on that translation. So
did you notice this skills in yourself in childhood, or you developed these skills?
Well, I wanted to be a film director when I was a kid. And I still want. I couldn't imagine, that at the moment I have to choose a career, I also had to choose a career that had some potential job, in Argentina. So that was not an option, definitely. I think when I was a child, I was very creative. I was very curious, and I'm still are. So it's not that I was into technology. It was just very, very curious. And I like to experiment a lot. And that's why maybe I like the idea of filming, because when I imagined myself when I was a director writing the script, directing, because I actually was thinking what everyone had to be doing and saying. So about system thinking, right? And I always say sometimes a story of a movie, writers are system thinking. When you're writing a novel, when you're writing a story, you're developing a little product, right? An artifact with a lot of different elements, characters, scenes, etc., that need to make sense and that need to guide someone for a journey. So when you go back to design, that's a lot of what design is doing, right? Thinking on the journeys and the customer journeys and the service design. So
yeah, but this is extremely two different points. But from the other side, I think that your life looks like a film. So you're kind of a film director.
It might be. It can be. I can write. I had a diversity of experience. Definitely, I can write a Netflix series. Not now, like when I retired.
So let's move to the next question, because there are a lot of questions, not only from me. What was the hardest system you have created?
The hardest, sorry?
Yeah, the hardest system that you have created. like from your experience? Like, what was the case when you?
I think all of them had. I think all of them have their hard.
Maybe there was a case where
one of the hardest things. I think one for instance, emotionally, the one working with working in the Lebanon in the crisis in Lebanon with the Syrian crisis, that was really hard from the emotional. I mean, you see the really challenging and terrible situation kids have been going through, right? And it's it requires, you know, it emotionally, you know, it's hard to be seeing that, you know, that reality so up close. At the same time, you have to see, you really, you know, you have to experience it, you have to be close to that to be able to help in any way, provide support or hear, so, or start building those bridges that might help. So that was really hard, I think, from the you know, from that, you know, being close to kids that have been experienced so much, you know, escaping from war, etc., has been really hard. And then I'm trying to think, but for instance, you know, even working in a big corporation, like when I was working in Unilever, and I was always asked to join, even when I was working in a big corporation, I was always in the entrepreneurial team that had to do something from new, and it was also hard because, you know, everyone in the huge corporation kind of hates you because you're doing something that no one understands, and it doesn't fit the plan. So that was also hard, kind of understanding that. And I think also being an entrepreneur myself, that was also a hard journey when I started my own venture. So yes, I think that's,
yeah, of course,
all of them are hard in a certain way. Yes, but
yeah, like when you work in a big company, it is easier for you because you think only about your area of like what you
it
have
depends.
to do.
No, it depends if you're creating something in a new company, in a big corporation that is part of two areas. In my case, it was part of sales and marketing. So we were getting the money from marketing, but we're in a sales team. Sales team were asking to do tasks that were marketing related, so they hated us. Marketing hated us because it was kind of crazy. So even in a corporation, it's hard. Change is hard anywhere, no matter where you are. So if you're coming to work on innovation, it's always going to be hard, and every challenge is going to have different characteristics. So but I guess that there's kind of, one are the more analytical, you know, more problem solving characteristics of challenges. I think the working in Lebanon was more an emotional challenge in that sense.
Yeah, actually, me myself from marketing department, I'm working as a marketing manager, and I know that there is a war between sales team and marketing team because one of them wants to have money, another team doesn't want to give them.
You get it, and I was in the middle of both of them. So I was kind of I was in the middle of a war. And because you are a new project, you also have to show results right away. So it's kind of
and you have limited time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Regarding the refugees, was it your own intention to move to this place, to this region?
Where to?
Like regarding the refugees, like you told.
No, that was a specific project. I didn't move. I was there just for a couple of weeks, but I was working with the Lebanon office. It was a project where I worked. Lebanon office was redesigning their youth program. And the most, from all the 1.4 million kids that had arrived to Lebanon in the last almost 2 years, 600,000 were youth. And they were the most at risk because actually they were the ones that couldn't continue university. They were in the middle. And they wanted to innovate in that program so that we would actually help them to become entrepreneurs of their own future, develop entrepreneurial skills, learn technology. So I basically led all that project, and it meant bringing different stakeholders together: the entrepreneurial ecosystem team in Lebanon, UNICEF Lebanon, different teams within UNICEF Lebanon, the NGOs, implementing partners UNICEF worked with, and venture, you know, people that were coming more from the business side. So all together to co-design and co-create. And to do that, we actually made some field trips, to the refugee camps, and talking to everyone that was working with these children was, and learning about their experiences and the big challenges. That was like, it was hard. So
yeah, I see. Okay. You are always keen to choose a new radical way for creation new educational program of exponential technologies, City Innovation Park. So tell us the truth. What do you want to create? Are you creating a new future? What is your
I
plan?
think it's not to me to create a new future. I think a new future has to be co-created, and we need a lot of it. But probably my secret is that I want to invite everyone to create a new future. So I'm probably I'm starting the party. So we start thinking about the alternative futures we can imagine and create with everyone together, and then think how we start from today creating them. So that's probably what I'm doing always.
Oh, so we should join your team. Your
Of course. Welcome to the party of designing the future.
Thank you. I'm giving the word to Mira.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And hi again. I'm so thrilled to talk to you. And one of the first questions I really wanted to ask is going to be about UNICEF, as you have mentioned your work as volunteer. And if you could describe your work as a strategy and innovation specialist and a volunteer, if I'm not mistaken, in UNICEF in 3 words, which words would you choose?
I'm not a volunteer right now. I'm a learning portfolio manager. I'm designing a learning innovation hub in Helsinki. 3 words, what I do?
Yes. And describe your work at UNICEF. 3 words.
Okay, right now, I just joined the UNICEF innovation team only 3 months ago. So I just returned to UNICEF. I worked in the past in 2015, 14. So for you to have an idea when I work for. Well, there's 3 things I do probably. It's I strategize, right now I'm responsible for the learning innovation portfolio, and I'm designing the learning innovation hub and launch that is going to be launched in Helsinki very soon. 3 things I do: I strategize.
Okay. First.
So I strategize. I design.
Second.
Second, I have to have 4. If I ask for, I implement.
Okay.
About bringing this to life. And the 4th one, most important, I challenge. So I tend to be asking questions or challenging what we're doing, or being inviting for why are we doing this, or is there a better way of doing it, etc. So that's probably the 4 verbs I would describe what I'm doing.
Great. 4 unique words, I guess. And going back to your experience in private companies like Unilever, how did you become brand lead at Unilever? Could you tell us about your experience?
Yeah, I was a brand lead for visibility. It was this team that was looking about building the brand, bringing the brand alive in retail stores. So I was basically in Argentina. Unilever has this, it's called Young Professionals program, which basically you applied. It's very hard to get in, like 12,000 people CVs, and only 30 of us were selected. So first you send the CV, and then you go through a lot of different kind of interviews, and then actually they make you even kind of simulate a situation where you're working with others. So I was it's called Joven Profesional, Young Professional. So basically it's the people Unilever generally hire that they look that they can become eventually managers and directors, etc. Of course, I left before that, but I have friends that are there now, directors of brands globally. So the question was around how do I become that? Basically, I joined, and that was kind of the role I was starting to work with. I was responsible, this team was called Visibility. It was the global agenda where after some research, it has been identified that basically 70% of the decision for buying a product takes place at the point of sale. So it doesn't matter so much the TV or everything. At the end of the day, when people get into the supermarket, that's when they make the decision. So it was about how we bring marketing to life, the brand to life in the retail store so that people would purchase your brand. So that's why I combined in marketing and sales. So I was asking salespeople to come and decorate supermarkets and do things with things they don't like. And, you know, and marketing was having to give the budget to do that. So.
Wow, it seems you've had a great experience here, and it is really interesting to learn about that. And well, you had an experience in Unilever, you had experience in UNICEF, and if you could give advice to younger generation, what advice would you give in sphere of tech, design, to starters?
Well, first I would tell you, be very curious. Like there's today, you have so much information and access to resources. So just, if you just have a connectivity and you can access a computer somewhere, it doesn't have to be your computer. You can go to the school, you can be to a center. So be curious, go and spend time there and be a little bit mindful of your time. I understand there's a lot of things that are distracting today in the net, you know, TikTok,
Yes.
etc. They're very distracting, but be mindful of also like getting into courses that you might find interesting or following people. You're going to start finding people that are very interesting and have knowledge. Follow them on Twitter, see what they publish, see what they do. You're going to be identifying, oh, this is something very interesting I would like to work on. And you can always contact them on LinkedIn, send them an email, or learn that there's maybe a fellow program or an internship. So those opportunities. So I would say like, be like very curious and it would call it a hustle, you know, go and look for the opportunity. The opportunity won't come to you if you're sitting there. You can have all the amazing education in the world, all the titles, but if you're sitting down at your desk, the opportunity won't come to you. You have to go and hunt for your own opportunities. So be there. So be open and look for those things. When it comes to technology, it advances every day, but actually the people that are doing technology are some of the most generous and active on the internet. So contact them, learn from them. And I would say, learn about technology, become technology literate, but don't forget about design, about how you translate a technology into a product that everyone could use, or like a satellite and eventually provides a service. So how you translate that technology into something, and what that implies is not just building the product or the service, what is the business model behind that? So combine both, I would always say try to have the two areas that you're expertise, because if you just become an expert on technology, which I'm not saying it's not good, saying you still have to have this gymnastic, like this other second language of outside technology to be able to take it to another one. So it's about building bridges, about discipline. So that's something I would definitely advise you to do. So be very curious, be proactive in going looking for your opportunity, and then be look for more than one discipline. Yeah, look for more than one discipline, like combine technology with other discipline. I give you an example of a friend of mine who's building one of the largest constellation of satellites worldwide, and he's from Argentina. So he's an entrepreneur who studied mathematics, but he didn't finalize university, because at the beginning he was called to do some coding and security service. They ended up creating a company, that provides cybersecurity worldwide, very successful. And then he left, and then he went to Singularity University, and he had another idea in mind. But then when he was there, he said, wait, like in the past years, we had advanced technology of mobile, I don't know if you take a look, Google what it looked like the first phones look like, right? And what we have today. And this happened in a very short period of time. But when you look at satellite technology, we were still having these big satellites, blah, blah, blah. So he came out, what if we use mobile technology to create nano satellites? So this person who was already a very successful entrepreneur. That's why I'm saying be very curious. He came back to Argentina, got some funding, went and moved to the south of Argentina, Patagonia, where there was this research center, experts on these areas, and convinced them to start building a first nano satellite. And then he went back to NASA. When they showed their prototype, NASA said, this is the best prototype they ever seen. And the guy has been in the space industry only in the last 6 months. But most interesting is that he not just translated the technology into a product, he thought about the business model. So he's not just, today it's called Satellogic, and it's not about selling the technology. He's building a constellation of satellites, nano satellites that are mapping the world in real time. Okay, so it's gonna be selling the information and the access, not selling the technology. So, and you can Google him, it's called, and he was the first one. He's actually the one who told me I had to go to Singularity University and tell I'm going to write your recommendation letter, because we worked together in the past on something. So he's one of those. I would be following him on Twitter, whatever he posts, and his team. And actually there's an amazing woman there working, like if you continue the series, who's actually working on satellite building from Argentina. And I'm saying from Argentina, just to understand, this was south of the world, right? It's not the country where you have the biggest budget or the most stable economic situation. Quite the opposite. So what I'm saying is there are no limits, there are no frontiers, those borders don't exist. Go and look for whatever you want and make it happen. So
wow, so that is a region of our UniSat work now and our education. So we're learning about nano satellites, actually. Interesting. And
the company is called
about
Satellogic. Like Satellogic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sure it will be interesting for our viewers and helpful for us as well. And you said about being curious and following people on Twitter. So which kind of habits which we should build in ourselves to become that kind of person who is curious, who is able to find opportunities for himself?
Well, that's
which
hard.
habits?
I think everyone is born curious.
Probably.
That's our nature. Maybe along the way, because of different reasons, we have told not to be curious. So get back to your essence, because we are all curious. So just connect with that on yourself. And I think don't be afraid of failing or looking like odd because you contact someone. Like if you write to someone, they don't reply, okay, he didn't reply. You will send 100 emails, maybe 2 people reply. It doesn't count. 2 people, it's a lot, but you have to be prepared for not getting the result you want right away. Not everyone is waiting for you to send them an email and get back to you. And that doesn't mean that it was not an opportunity. Things, don't be really very good at, what we call failure, what we might put us like, in a situation, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, look, I'm going to write a message to someone that doesn't know me and ask them, no, go and do it. Like, and if he doesn't answer, he doesn't answer. What's the problem? You know what? My first boss told me this once, and I really liked, and this is something I learned from the entrepreneurial world, because my first job was working with entrepreneurs in Argentina. And look, the no, if you don't do nothing, the no is already there. From scratch, you have a no. So go and look for the yes. Because if you do or you don't know anything, the no is there. So go and look for the yes. So go and try. There might be a potential yes. So you have to go and do it. So don't take no as an answer, but start with a no you say to yourself. So don't say no to yourself. Say yes, go and try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Not everyone's going to reply to you. Look at the history, listen to the stories of many people that today have been able to build amazing things. And no one's going to tell you there was a fast track to success. On the contrary, a lot of rejection and rejection and rejection and rejection. But they had one thing, they persisted because they were true to themselves, to their passion, to their drive, and they continue. Because trust me, if you want to do something different, you're going to get no. Like the most thing, first is going to be a no. Everyone's going to tell you no. And actually that's a good, there's a good sign that maybe you're bringing something new and interesting.
Yeah, okay. So it's like be curious and persistent and get risk, right? Did I get it?
Exactly. Risk. Embrace risk.
Yeah.
Of course, the risk that, doesn't put you in any dangerous situation, but the risk of
Yes.
being rejected, that's not a risk. Come on, that's our ego feeling a little bit threatened. So get your ego to sleep and tell them, like, go ahead and do it. So
That is great advice. I'm sure it will be a lot of note for many viewers. And coming back to our interview questions, you are the founder of LABO, an ecosystem builder company specialized in promoting cross-pollination between startups, government, corporations, and academia. How did you get this idea of innovation, like invention? What inspired you to create the company?
well, that was a way of framing what I was doing. So basically, that's my company when I work independently, and the different projects I work with, Innovation Park and different things. And basically, that comes from my personal journey, as I shared before, of understanding what I thought it was needed to really in the innovation space, and it has to be about not just building a product or business. You have to get at the ecosystem level. So you have to bring a more systemic approach and be an ecosystem engineer. And it's called LABO. LABO means wolf in Spanish. And first, I love dogs, and I have a dog. But second is because I once saw this video that you can look for it. It's called Wolves Change Rivers. And it tells the story of a park in the United States. I don't remember the name. It was Yosemite or another park, where the wolves have been extinguished. And they returned to the park. There was this kind of getting the wolves back to the park. And the wolves acted as ecosystem engineers. And that meant that they killed some of the species that were overpopulated and old, but killed a little bit. They were not all of them. I'm saying, like, there was a lot of deers, right? And deers were eating all the grass and were not allowing other species to grow. So the wolves, as a natural predator, was able to, help.
Ecosystem.
It helped the ecosystem to start again, because there were so many deers that there was no species. So the old deers were eaten by the wolves. That it doesn't sound very nice, but I'm saying it was able to let's put it this way. The wolves came as ecosystem engineers, and basically in a system where everyone has to have a space to grow, allowed that. So not only it allows that other species to start appearing again in the park and growing, it also allowed that the flow of the rivers even change, because it changed the whole ecosystem. So that, I think, is the concept of how someone can be kind of that, I call it, in a nicer world, building bridges, but how actually you end into an ecosystem that has probably it's unbalanced, or is not promoting innovation, or some things are very stuck and are not moving forward. Well, you need to shake things up and allow for other innovations to flourish, other people to have a space, etc. So that's what I do. And it came out from experience. It's a product of different type of experience I have been acquiring, and thinking that was the right approach.
Great. Honestly, I have heard about these wolves, but never got about the idea of connecting it.
If you watch
the
video, it's called Wolves Change Rivers. It's not talking about innovation, but I thought when I saw the video, that's what I do. That's what you need to actually get innovation to really transform. Either a corporation or even when a startup, you have to get that approach. So that was my creative leap to connect both things.
Okay, and next question is following up to this question. So during the company growth period of this, every CEO experiences a variety of hardships. Yes. What did you learn from them? How did you manage teamwork, your personal and career life about this?
Well, I'm keep learning, girls. It's not that something I have already learned, but I think one of the most important thing is one thing. There's a saying in the startup world that says, I give you $1 for the idea, 1 million for the implementation. And I extended the phrase and I say, and I give you 10 million for the sales. Because one thing is to have someone to go and put money and actually buy you what you're doing. So that's something I learned from my previous startup. It was called Sangre. It was a travel design company. So how you actually, selling, getting people to really hire your services, buy what you're doing, that's many people are going to tell you it's great. Yeah, I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy it. But actually putting the money on the bank and buying, that's so really it's how important is sales and how important is to really do that. And the other thing I've learned, I think it's really important to bring build a team of people that are different from you, like that they're not that might feel different, but you end up having a very good dialogue and connect very well. So looking for other disciplines that work with you. And the last one is like, it's really important to get work-life balance. Sometimes really hard, but you always have to remember yourself that. And the first one, I think, is sometimes in the moment when you are on your own business, like you're all the time trying to kind of survive. That's kind of a survival. That's what it means to be an entrepreneur. You're always like in an island and you're having to survive, right? Sometimes you get some great success and you forgot to celebrate it. So it's about celebrating. Stop the ball, stop the game and celebrate. That night you go and you invite a friend for a drink, or you go and see your mother, you have to stop and celebrate along the way, because the big vision will take a long time, right? So in the meantime, don't forget to be very thankful to what you're achieving and be present in the moment and celebrate. So.
Yeah, actually, I'm currently like trying to balance my school life with this and everything. And I think that's great advice to stop sometimes and celebrate simple achievements, I guess. Thank you for answering questions.
Exactly. Very simple achievements. You don't have to be the simple achievements. Oh, I finished this. Let's celebrate,
Great. Let's go there. Yeah. Thank you for answering my questions and giving me the words to Akmaral. And viewers' questions on the YouTube will be answered after Akmaral's questions. Thank you again.
Yeah. Hello, do you enjoy CORTESI? Actually, I can say that I'm a good listener. I was enjoying listening to you with a great enthusiasm. So personally, I believe that the major innovations are founded in technological sphere, maybe in IT, maybe in informational technology. So what about you? Where do you see the biggest innovation opportunities?
I think technology is a force, it's a tool for innovation, but knowing about technology alone won't allow you to seize the opportunity. Take a look at many of the innovators, and generally they have a combination of backgrounds, or maybe there are technologies, but on their personal life, they have done something where they actually understood what the opportunity was. So you have to have that combination. And I think there's, if you ask me what is going to be the huge area for disruption, of course, what you're working on is space technology is very important, but also for me, it's life sciences. And it's a combination of life sciences like biotechnology and IT and digital technology. So we're talking about bioinformatics, artificial intelligence applied to artificial intelligence, robotics, and all these kind of more frontier technologies. All that has to do with AI, that includes just AI, machine learning, data, robotics, et cetera, applied to life sciences. So if I would start a career right now, I would definitely start learning biology.
Biology, actually.
Okay, so there's some interesting books to read, like that. For instance, all the idea of the microbiome, and that we're made of bacteria mainly. But if you start combining that with the power that AI is bringing, it's, and latest technologies such as CRISPR, I think there is a massive area. So that's going to help us to reimagine what food is, reimagine how, all the way from solving, I think, a lot of areas of climate change, health, creating new materials. So it's a very interesting area. I would definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with you. Biology is a kind of a key for understanding life. So,
exactly.
Yeah. The next, we're quite interested in that. What's your philosophy on innovation? And more specifically, what do you see as your role in bridging the internal and external perspectives?
Well, I'm a translator. I think the fact that I have been having all these diverse experiences, I speak different languages. And when I speak languages, I not mean language of, Spanish, etc. But how does a scientist think? How does a, entrepreneur think? How's a business person think? How does a public sector person think? So I generally act as a translator, and also kind of helping a lot of setting the vision and planning the strategy. So it's more about, it's called the innovation brokerage. I'm brokering knowledge. I'm on the different expertise and helping bring a new vision to life. So that's really my role. And that's kind of the in managing different stakeholders, that's one of the things you have to be able to do. Speak those languages and design the different experiences, and so that you can get all the stakeholders involved and in the process of creation and innovation. Right?
Yeah, sure. And that sounds great. So now we can notice the tendency that the number of girls and young girls who are becoming a STEM girls are increasing. So how do you think, what actions, in your opinion, can be taken to help girls to be more successful and to achieve lots of achievements in the sphere of STEM, in the technological sphere?
How I think there's going to be more and more opportunities. I think that the fact that we are already starting the conversation that there has to be more gender equity, it's already helping that in the future that's going to start happening and the policies are going to be in place. So for me, the only advice I would say is for a girl to be successful in an area that maybe is today more dominated by men, don't forget to be a girl. Don't try to imitate what men do. I think there's a lot of the specific characteristics that women have that can really bring a new voice to all that. So I think that would be my advice, because on all the other technical things you can learn, but don't try to imitate or, to get more, to be more successful, do what men are doing. Bring your own approach that, that's, as a girl you would have.
Yes. So as Mira asked you, you have mentioned that a younger generation should be more curious, and a younger generation should take lots of risks. That would be kind of my own motto for life. And what about you? What's your own motto for life?
My own motto for life? Motto for life?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to have fun. So it's all those things that have to have fun. I mean, I have to be feeling that what I'm doing has some impact, it's like, my motto is working with great people. So the team is the most important thing. Having fun and doing something bold that can really have impact, tangible impact. So that's my motto.
Yes. And I would like to ask you a question which is not related to a professional career. And what's the appearance of Angela's CORTESI when she's at home with her family?
Well, I love to read. So basically, I would be with my dog, cooking some good food, opening a nice wine, and reading. I love to read, or inviting friends for cooking. I'm walking with nature. I need a lot of nature. So my personal life would be, I live in front of a park. So for me, going and spending time in the middle of nature is very important. So
yeah. So the next question, that what do you like the most in your job?
The diversity and the diversity and the amount of interesting people I get to meet and to work, and the real focus on that everything is about children and is centered on children, and on bringing to life a better future for all children. So that's, I think, two things I really like.
Yeah, great. So I hope that you read books too, and what books you believe helped you the most on your journey, especially in the business sphere of your career?
Oof. I read so many, but lately I don't read business books, I read fiction or essays. So which book had helped me a lot in business? I think it has, well, I think it has always helped me more fiction than business or essays. But I think one book I would really recommend to read that is very interesting and actually a very challenging view of how the world is going to come. It's called Homo Deus by Yuval Harari. Then I think a very good introduction to design is Change by Design from the CEO of IDEO. You know, to start with, I think it's going to give you an idea of the importance of design, on this role of design, that it's not just building a beautiful artifact, but it's about the process. And then let me think if there's another business book that
Does it help you? Does it help you to create? Does it help you to produce creative ideas?
Yeah, I'm reading, but I think my creative ideas come not necessarily from a business book. Of course, you know, they come more from reading very diverse kind of things. So I give you an example of, you know, I don't know. I've been buying some books yesterday, and it goes all the way from the future of food, artificial intelligence, to, I don't know, 7 brief lessons on physics. But at the same time, I'm reading some notes from an American writer, and more like on the feminist side, you know, on her experience. And then, you know, it's very varied. But I think reading fiction, and when I read fictions, like read novels, read writers, it really helps you to understand people, understand society in such a way, and also imagine different possibilities. So I think that comes a lot, and also from experiencing different things. I've been, you know, I've done acting, I've done painting. I think arts for me is really important. So painting, writing, reading, acting, dancing, meeting people from different, whenever you do all these activities, you end up meeting people from all these different worlds. So all that is a different world of possibilities you end up getting to know. So
yeah, sure. Our viewers, now we're having a live broadcast on YouTube, and our viewers are quite interested about your NASA experience on NASA. Could you please tell us shortly about that?
Yes, well, I was this university that is actually not a university, but it's called Singularity University, which has the goal of basically bringing exponential technologies to solve global grand challenges. And their main program that has been changing, and now it's going back to the one I experienced a couple of years ago, it's called it was called the Graduate Studies Program, GSP. Yeah, Graduate Studies, yeah, GSP. And we were 80 students from 35 countries that came together for almost 2 months and a half, living on the campus at NASA, and being exposed to talks and experts from all different fields, all the way from global challenges, food, health, education, water, climate change, you name it, all these different global challenges. So we would have worldwide experts coming, at the same time, all the experts on exponential technologies, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, etc. So we were there on this special program that was, you know, all day, all the way from the night till to night, because maybe at night would come like the founder of Second Life to talk to us, you know, and we could actually discuss with them. But the most important thing were not actually the people that came to talk to. It was my alumni friends, my other students. So they would come from all part of the world, and they were a combination of people like me, and there were people that were experts on specific technology, you know, PhD on artificial intelligence, and then someone that was expert on science, and then someone that has been a very successful entrepreneur, and of all different ages too. So that was the program. So we were brought together for this 3 months program, and the goal was that we should from there start thinking or creating ventures, that the goal of the university is that would impact 1 billion children. So it's solving a global challenge using an exponential technology that would impact 1 billion people in the next 10 years. So it's really thinking very bold, but it was a great platform for learning about exponential technologies, and at the same time, exploring how these can be the ones that help us solve problems. and learn about the ballet. So they tend to there's a lot of scholarships, so it's about applying and trying and give it a try. So it's called Singularity University. If you check it out, there's they have also there's a lot of talks and there's a lot of resources online that you can access.
Yeah. So I would like to ask you one more question, which needs a critical thinking. As a specialist in the design of the future, what kind of specialists do you think will be in demand in 5 years? And is it possible to change the field of activity at the age of 28?
Is it possible to what? Sorry?
To change the field of activity at the age of 28.
Oh, you can always change. You know, yesterday I had dinner with someone who was like on the 60s and studying a new career. So, I mean, we are lifelong, we are lifelong learners, and we're going to be, I think one of the skills you have to learn for the future is that you will have multiple careers. You won't have one. So you have to develop those skills to be able to adapt to new scenarios and adapt and get new things. So it's always going to be about learning. Well, if you think a lot of careers are going to be in demand, definitely all the ones that have to do with the technology area, artificial intelligence, data science, and all the life sciences one. So I think those are going to be definitely in high demand. But at the same time, I think there's going to be a high demand for design and things. So there's, of course, the technology area is going to be in the next 5 years definitely in a high demand. But you also, if you bring both, if you bring the technology science approach and another skill like more soft, like design or business, I think that combination would be very powerful.
Yeah, sure. And hard skills at the same time. And the last question is, how do you think nanosatellites can be designed as a popular product among girls?
How do you think? Sorry,
can be nanosatellites be designed as a popular product among girls? Exactly.
Of course. Yes, definitely.
And it has a great crucial functionality.
Yes, I think it's great, and I think it's, you have to think about what I was saying, the dots, right? This is just one dot. You're going to be accumulating a lot of dots. You don't have no idea how making this experience of a nanosatellite will connect with someone in the future. But what you have to make the criteria for deciding why you're doing this is because it's fun, because you're learning, because you're engaged, and because you're being able to work with other girls and explore. So that should be, and it has a purpose. So if you have that criteria, you're going to be accumulating a lot of dots. And maybe a couple of years from now, you're going to be telling, oh, you know what? Just because I did that nanosatellite, and through that, I understood what space was about. And I started thinking about life outside Mars. Then I ended up starting to be an astrobiologist later, right? So, which are basically the people that are looking for life outside the planet. So those connections, you would never see them until you get a lot of experience. So I would say, go out there and be hungry for experiences that will enrich you, and start collecting dots.
I love that when you are answering for our questions, you just combine some advices and your experience at the same time, and that makes your answer really fascinating. So thank you, Diangelos. Thank you, Diangelos CORTESI, for taking part at our interview. That wraps up our session today for Launch Your Dream, UniSat educational program for girls. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angelos.
Yes, I've been listening to you with a great pleasure, and I hope that our viewers from YouTube were enjoying our chat today. So thank you so much for our viewers today. See you soon on our next webinar.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yes.
I have a question regarding your online presence. I didn't find you on Instagram. Do you use it?
The Instagram, I don't use it professionally. It's very closed. I use LinkedIn to be for all that has to do, because Instagram is more for my family.
Oh.
So I have an Instagram more professional, but I have put nothing yet. And to be honest, I have like, for me, it's like yeah, I have a lot of this, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm like all over the place. But LinkedIn is probably the place where it's easier to connect with me for the future. But yes, I have to. I know Instagram is a place now for younger people, and TikTok, but I'm not very active.
Okay.
Actually, Instagram
Then we
is a
know
very
where to
great
find you.
social. Yeah, but Instagram is really essential for publicating something and finding new opportunities.
Yes, I know. It's one of my pendings. I actually open it, but I have been able to upload anything yet. But yeah, I have to do it. I know I have to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good luck
And
to
thank you so
you with
much.
your career in filming. I hope
I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll let
someday
you know. So
video.
maybe I can use some of your satellite technology for some of the filming.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be great.
Okay. Well,
Thank you
very
so much.
Thank you very much, and keep on dreaming. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you.
We'll
Bye.
launch our dream.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.